Welcome, CBG Tribe. It's your host, Justin Romero. We're here to talk about health, fitness, and anything else related. Today, we have a special guest on the podcast, four-time CrossFit Games athlete, the best finish of sixth place in 2019, and serial entrepreneur, Jacob Heppner.
Hey, what's going on, Justin? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Let's get the drama out first, dude. What's up with this Jillian Michaels video?
Yeah, dude. I didn't even think you were bringing that up.
Were you ready for that? You weren't ready.
No, I wasn't.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready for it. Dude, I saw someone tag me in the video, whatever she made. I just feel like what I don't understand is fitness, right? So you run a nutrition company, and you run, I should say a health and wellness company is a better definition. And so in this time of age of COVID-19 ravaging people, and I'm not a doctor, but sometimes people who don't necessarily care about their health and wellness as others do, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but you would think that health and wellness would become a priority in our society and world in general. But instead, we have people that want to put down other companies that do health and wellness a little bit differently. And in my mind, I don't care if you get on a Peloton bike, you do 100 burpees a day, you do a Jillian Michaels DVD, or you do a CrossFit Level 1 seminar class or a CrossFit class. Who cares? As long as you're moving and staying healthy, I don't care what you define fitness as. But for some reason, she feels the need to rag on why CrossFit isn't great or whatever, and she's definitely entitled to her opinion, as is everyone making fun of her, I guess.
Right. I think you bring up a good point, man. Like, there are a lot of coaches out there just like sort of ragging on other coaches when we're all trying to really do the same thing. And I think people get sort of like convoluted in the fact that they're trying to grow their business, but the overarching goal is to cure this epidemic of obesity, right? Like, it's an epidemic, So like, if you're like trying to do that, there's really no reason to like scale yourself up by throwing down others.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is it could be applied to everything in life. Like, people nowadays, we're getting into the rant session. You opened the can of worms, so now you're going to freaking deal with the worms you pulled out of the darn can.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. When I run for mayor of my town and finally president of the United States, the issue is, like, societies, we're all unique. We're all different. You have different life experiences and different beliefs than me. I have different life experience and different beliefs than you. And that's wonderful. And that's what makes the world a great place, is because we're not all the same person. And for some reason, the world wants us to believe that we all should think the certain way, the same way, believe the certain thing, vote for the same person, do the same fitness routine. And that's not going to be the case. We all have different tastes, different life bringings, different, experiences we've been through. And because of that, we're all going to come from a different perspective. But for some reason, you have people that either want to make fun of the way you believe religiously, make fun of the way you believe politically, or in this case, Jillian Michaels, make fun of the way you decide to do fitness. So I think she's just I think she just needs to. I would, like I posted this morning, I would absolutely adore. What I would love to see in the world less talking trash on each other and more adult conversations, because I think the world is full of a lot of adults. I'm using air quotes right now since you can't see my video.
Yeah.
It's full of a lot of adults right now that are 40, 50, 60 years old that are still children, and she's one of them. Like, instead of making fun of something because you don't agree with it, how about we have an adult conversation about the differences? Because she did hit some good points.
Yep.
There are bad apples and bad coaches and bad things in every sport you go to. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely true. I've seen some bad CrossFit coaches, and I've called them out for it. So I don't disagree with her points, but I think it's important to sit down and have an adult conversation. I mean, if she's really going for notoriety, get on an open table discussion with somebody and have a conversation, and that would be some great notoriety for both fitness professions.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she has a platform in her own right, and she would do better on her own platform if she brought about some intelligent discussions around what the benefits and what some of the things around CrossFit that you need to be sort of aware of as you start a new program and you're trying to evaluate whether a coach is good or not, right? So tell me about the barn, man. So you have you located to a different place, and now you have this barn that you're building. Is this the next ranch? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so yeah, good for you for bringing up a really hot topic, pushing my buttons, and now switching it on me. That was so smooth. You're like, oh, okay. Now that your heart rate is 190, I'm gonna switch the subject on you to something NASA. We bought the property that most people know that I've owned, right? My smaller barn gym, my previous house that we just sold. We had purchased that about 5 years ago, and at the time, and this might be in every relationship, in every relationship you get into, your significant other will probably tell you, hey, I want to build a house, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And you don't really trust them because you're like, do you really want to build a house? Would you really be good at that? You know what I'm kind of saying? Like they have some dreams or aspirations, and you're like, do I really want to do that with you? And we bought a house that we recently sold, and it needed a lot of fixing up. And my wife and she had the dream, the interior design dream, and she did a wonderful job at it. And so halfway through our time living there, I decided she's right. She could actually really build a house and it would be wonderful. And so we decided, okay, well, we need to, the next step is I can't demolish this house and build a house on this property. I need land. And right now, the running joke in our family is the only thing they don't make more of is time and land. I can't buy time, so I'm going to buy land.
Yeah.
Unless I can move to Mars. Come on, Elon, hurry up. And so we recently purchased 50 acres. It's in the same town. It's like 7 minutes away from my house. It's actually much closer to the gym. So we owned 50 acres down the road. It had a much older farmhouse on it. We call it Clown House because it had a picture of a clown in there when we bought it, and it was really weird. So we spent the last month renovating that, or actually 2 months renovating that. We just moved in like 4 days ago. And so we moved in 4 days ago. We finished the house renovations, and how the Heppner household works is we like to move a mile a minute and stay busy at all times. So we finished the house renovation, and the barn building started today, actually. So we are moving and shaking. So yeah, it's exciting for sure.
It's a good way to do things. Really high pace, high energy. I
Yep.
think that's how you get a lot done. Speaking of getting a lot done, you have a boatload of companies. Let's start with the longest lived company to date.
Yeah.
What is that? Is it Grit Performance or is it a different one?
So you could consider it Grit. So Grit actually is a rebranded company. Grit previously was Midwest Made,
Mm-hmm.
which was a company that I started with a buddy of mine in 2018, I believe, 2019, early 2019, like January 2019. And the joke, this is a lighthearted joke, but I like to joke about probably hard situations, but we're going to make a joke about it, is I have a degree in math. So the first thing they teach you in Business 101 is be careful going into business with your friends or your family.
Yep.
But I unfortunately did not learn that lesson because I was taking Calculus 101 in college. So I did not learn that lesson via books. I learned it via the hard way.
Yep.
So had a previous company, Midwest Made, very successful. Had a business owner. We, had to part ways. Made some bad decisions. Decided to part ways with the company. I rebranded the company, and that company now is Grit Performance, which I like the name a lot better personally. But yeah, so that's been around since I guess 2019 technically. That is essentially just my programming, and really the basis of the company was what I kind of determined over the course of years of being in CrossFit is there are a lot of really good coaches out there that don't have the platform for you to know who they are. Okay, we have a lot of coaches out there, good coaches, don't get me wrong, that have humongous platforms. Like Ben Bergeron is a great example.
Yep.
Humongous platform, and Ben is a great coach. Don't get me wrong, absolutely. But there are also a lot of good coaches on the same level of Ben Bergeron that are out there, but they just don't have the platform like Ben does because Ben's obviously a very business savvy individual and obviously is a very good content creator. And so I thought to myself, you know what? There's got to be a way to give these folks out there a platform to showcase their intelligence and just ability to program for people and their love of the game, and I can give that to them. And so I essentially rebranded Grit and made it into essentially what I'm calling a multifaceted fitness company. And so I provide not only my programming on the company, but also different branches and tracks that I don't do, but just give access to the coaches that you can try if you go there. So like we have a men and women's physique coach. Okay. I mean, yeah, I love doing curls, but I'm not doing that full programming, right? And then so we're also and the next week adding a hybrid swimming coach. So it's going to be doing CrossFit workouts pretty much in a swimming pool almost concept, because we all go to a swimming pool. We all go to like local competition, and they're like, hey guys, local competition, we're going to do like assault bike and swimming, and I die, so how do I help someone to not drown on the assault bike and then drown in the pool? So yeah, that's grit pretty much at its basic definition.
Yeah, awesome. So you're giving other coaches the platform that have expertise in
Yep.
areas like swimming and other things like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The rebrand is a tough one, man. I know OPT did this with OPEX years back, and they have numerous podcasts about what it took to make a rebrand happen and to get their customer base back and stuff like that. How difficult was that transition for you to go from Midwest Made to now Grit?
Yeah, it was difficult because there was just a lot of stressors going on in my life at that time and relationship issues.
Yep.
That made it really difficult. The rebrand itself, obviously I'm not as large as OPEX and OPT ever were. And so the rebrand itself, I didn't think was that hard. I quickly realized that a rebrand needed to occur. And so
Right.
I have a lady in my life who we'll actually discuss later on in the other companies, who is one of my owners of the affiliate I go to. And I would consider is someone who I use as a business mentor for me and a mentor, and also as my coach. So it's like a one-stop shop for me.
Yeah.
And she was very helpful in the process of rebranding, because you're right, like changing names, websites, the whole 9 yards was super difficult to do. But having her available to help me out was very convenient, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard that you're not someone to shy away from like asking for help and getting a good solid team like around you, especially
Yep.
like as you build a lot of sort of these companies.
Mhm.
Would you say like you have a big solid team around you that are like help sparking ideas, help giving you a better understanding
Yeah.
of how to grow different companies and stuff like that?
Yeah, so how I look at my relationship with people, and one thing is I would consider myself an introvert when it comes to situations, atmospheres, and environments that I don't feel comfortable in. So if you put me in an environment that I don't feel super comfortable in, like if we go to the symphony together, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm probably not going to have a good time or talk to many people. But if you put me in an atmosphere where I feel comfortable, you put me in a CrossFit gym, you put me amongst a bunch of like-minded people like myself, I feel very comfortable and a little less introverted. And so one thing I've determined as I've gone through and met people and garnered relationships is every time I meet someone in my life that is really good or really passionate about what they do, and they're really good at something specific, like I'm a graphic designer, I am a social media manager, I'm a business mentor, I'm a this, I'm a that. I usually within a couple, like within time, when I get to know them and realize they're really good at something, at some point in our relationship, I usually tell them, hey, I think you do a fantastic job. And at some point, if you're open to it and you're not in a contract with something else and you're available, I would love to pull you in and help me do something, and obviously pay you for it, but give you another source of revenue because you're so good at your job. And that's been one thing that I think I've been very good at is I know what I'm not good at, and I delegate things I'm not good at, because if I'm not passionate about it, why waste my time doing it? Because there are other people out there that are passionate about something and can do such a better job than me, that I just have to give them the platform and the resources to do it. And it'll be much better than what I could ever create.
Right. And then you're supporting them financially too, especially a lot of these people that do this graphic design and social media, like you said. I mean, they're small business owners, right?
Yep.
So they need extra income. I talked to Jessica Wisner about this.
Oh, you know Jessica?
Dude, she does our social media. She's amazing.
Does she really?
Yeah. I talked to her like 2 days ago. I was like, all right, look here. Jacob is one of the biggest people we've had on the podcast. You need to prep me. And I trust in her, man, because she's like our social media person. So she's like, oh, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. So we're like chatting back and forth, and she does our social media too. So she's like one of my business people that I'm like, look, you need to help me with this. You need to tell me what I'm doing wrong. How does this look from the outside looking in? Because I'm always biased when it comes to myself and my companies and stuff like that. But yeah, no, she's amazing. She's at I Am Power Branding for those of you that are interested in potentially working with her. But yeah, no, she's absolutely.
Don't say that.
What?
She can't work with anybody else, because I have her in 3 different companies. It's probably gonna be a 4th, so she doesn't have any time. Okay.
I think
She has no more bandwidth.
I think I'm gonna have her do foster fit too. Currently, I'm doing that, but I think she should also do that. I think she'd do an incredible job with nonprofit stuff as well. But yeah, no, she's absolutely amazing, and it's weird that this space is so small. But like we're both supporting her in a way, and she's extremely passionate about what she does, like through branding and social media and stuff. Something that just, oh my gosh, like making a post all the time that what you need to do to bring about awareness to your business is, I hate it. I just don't like it.
I mean, but
So
that's the point. Is like I do my own personal page because I enjoy showing the realness and rawness of my life, and no one
yeah,
else can do that like I can.
right.
But like for grit or functional eating or she does, or for stream, the other company she runs, I'm gonna pull her into another company. Like she does a wonderful job, and so it's very easy for me to just call. I mean, I talk to her probably once or twice a week on the phone,
Yep.
and it's usually like, "Hey, this is the upcoming marketing campaigns we have. Let's talk about it. Let's walk through this." And then she goes off and does her thing, and I just go on Instagram. It's like, "Oh, she posted today. What a great post!" And I don't have to do it. It's like, this is
Yes.
awesome.
I resonate with that so much. He's like, "What do you think about this?" Boom, posts. I'm like, I was out on a boat with my with my friends, and she's posting
Yeah,
for me. This is amazing, and she likes to do
yeah,
it, and it's
exactly.
really cool, man. Yeah, it's super awesome. So you said she's running functional eating for you, that company as well, where you're doing some form of nutrition, at least education or coaching. Tell us a little bit about that business.
Yeah, so it's going to be probably similar to what CBG is. It's probably going to be a lot smaller scale, but what essentially the birth of that came from most CrossFit gyms. I say most. I should clarify that.
Hmm.
Some CrossFit gyms have some kind of nutrition programming in them.
Yep.
If they don't, you can hit up me or you probably, and we
Yep.
probably offer something to that degree. Or they should, right? They should, if you want to be a good gym that attacks people's health and wellness, you need to attack not only their fitness but their nutrition. And so my gym, Cobra Command CrossFit, again, I don't own it, but I go to it. They had a great nutrition program in our gym. Wonderful, people loved it. It was very successful in the gym though. And so an idea got brought up of, hey, this is a great platform and it's scalable. It's easily scalable if we get out there and show people it. And so we essentially pitch it to, okay, well, let me own part of this company and essentially be your platform and then allow you to reach more people and affect more people's lives. And that's basically it. I think you and I are probably in the same boat. Is there are a lot of companies out there that do nutrition well? Don't get me wrong, but what I think CBG and functional eating probably does very well is what we focus on is the relationships. And I think a lot of big companies, because they're not scalable, forget that because they spend too much time focusing on the retention, how much they make, and less on the relationships they create with people. And so it's important for people to realize that there are other companies out there that can do nutrition for you, but you want a coach that cares about you, knows your name, and calls you on the phone every week. You don't need someone who checks in you via email once a month because that's not an accountability you need. And so that's kind of what we focus on. And I'm sure your company is the exact same thing.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I think you hit it right on the nose. I think when we first started the company, we were just so excited to like help as many people as possible. We're like, how do we help this person, this person, this person? And over the past like couple of years, we've been in business about 6 years. About 3 years ago, we were like, you know what? We need to actually form like a tribe around what it is that we're doing and really make sure that all the people that we're working with get those one-on-one calls every week, Zoom calls, so we can connect face to face. I mean, this type of coaching and relationships that you can build with people allows more trust, right? If someone doesn't trust you, how can you coach them? So that is a key niche, I think, in nutrition coaching. It shouldn't be a niche. Every nutrition coach should offer several levels of bandwidth and interaction with their athletes or clients. But yeah, I think you hit it right on those. And then obviously, like working with gyms, I think personally that's the next wave that we're going to see in terms of nutrition coaching for CrossFit gyms, athletes, etc. Right? Because a lot of CrossFit coaches were like, you know what? Come to our gym. We'll help you with your goals, right? And they realized, oh wait, that's not the only thing that it takes to get to the body weight goal that you want to get to or get to the body composition goal that you want to get to. And coaches as well as CrossFit athletes at gyms are starting to realize that, right? And why not outsource to functional eating or CBG so that we can directly work with your athletes. We can post things on your social media for you or give you things to post that your gym does nutrition coaching. It's not just a place where people just go and throw down, but they also go to understand how to eat, because the reality is your gym goers are going to go somewhere else and get nutrition coaching
Yep.
anyways, right?
Absolutely. Well,
Yep.
you and I are going to have a race for affiliates now, Justin. We both love each other,
I'm
but we
gonna
both
lose.
compete with each other.
I'm gonna lose, man. I can tell you that.
No, you're not. You know you're not, dude. I got too many things on my plate. I say that, but I'm gonna have to delegate someone else to do it. You're like, Jacob, you don't do squat diddly.
We could do like a nutrition challenge, man. Like you functional eating versus CBG, and just get
That would be
everyone
cool.
to
So
sign up
that's one
one-on-one
thing
coaching.
that's definitely something we're actually looking into for like 2021, and I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing. Is like a lot of companies are doing these challenges now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting. And so that would actually be a really good idea. Is if you could, but the thing is like the problem is like you need to make sure that when you do it against another company like that, that it's lighthearted and fun. Because what
Yep.
happens is like you'll do it with somebody, and it's like like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna go train with this cool buddy of mine, and then like 3, 2, 1 goes, and he's not your buddy no more, and like he's out to
Yep.
beat you. You don't really want that. You want to be like, oh, it's still fun.
Yeah. Like when Kelly falls off the scale on The Office, like when they're doing that weight loss month, and she just like
Yeah,
topples
yeah, yeah.
over and falls. We don't want any situations in establishing bad relationships with food. That's the exact opposite of the goal of what we're trying to do.
Well, we'll definitely keep in touch because I
Yeah.
think you're right. Like the next wave is going to be, which we'll get into in the next couple of minutes probably, is how do we as coaches or as owners use technology in our back pocket to assist and further our companies. Well, when it comes to companies like functional eating or CBG, like the next step is how do I do corporate challenges? How do I do corporate events? How do I do online challenges? How do I do online events?
Yep.
And how do I do these things? And how do I use tech in my back pocket to provide a better reach for them?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the key thing about the challenges too is like you make sure that you put people in a position to sustain their goals after they're done working with our coaches or your coaches, right? A lot of people, the statistic now is 2/3 of people regain all the weight back or more, right?
Yep.
And that's something that we want to make sure that doesn't happen with anyone that works with us, and I'm sure it's the same with yourself. So
Sure.
a challenge revolved around keeping the weight off, losing the weight and keeping the weight off, or getting to a certain level of performance and maintaining that performance for the open or whatever it might be, I think is super important. So yeah, definitely tech. All right. So the tech companies or related companies, right?
What did Jessica tell you? I want to hear what Jessica told you first. She probably got it pretty close.
Okay. So she didn't tell me much about Ignite. We are Ignite.
She's not involved in that just yet. So
yeah, so she didn't tell me anything about that, but she did tell me a lot about Extreme Fitness. One of my key questions to her, I was like, okay, people have Zoom. Why Extreme Fitness? And she answered that question for me, and it took her like 20 minutes. So I would rather
Jessica,
you explain it.
Jessica is also a talker, which I love, but she is also a talker.
Yeah, 20 minutes, just like why it's better than Zoom and all of the different facets, like just that and opportunities that it brings to other coaches, other companies. Like it's not just like, hey, switch over from Zoom and use our platform. It's a lot more than that. Dude, please tell us all about it. This is what people listen to the podcast for. Yeah,
so absolutely. So, and that's why the funny part is I've been on so many podcasts in the last 2 weeks, which has been wonderful. Honestly, Dustin, I've really enjoyed this one. This has been really fun for me. But people are going to be like, the next 2 weeks when they all come out, they're going to be like, dude, I'm freaking tired of Jacob Heppner, freaking turd bag. Like, but they're going to have nightmares of me talking in podcasts. But the idea really stemmed from the pandemic happened, and a couple of us kind of gathered together. We've got 4 of us, myself and Scott Panchik, and then Dustin, our developer, and Greg is our marketing guy. Yep. And we really gathered together and determined, like, Zoom's great. Don't get me wrong. But Zoom is a Band-Aid solution, right? It's only not fixing the issue, it's just covering it up.
Yep.
And we thought, well, if I would have made this, last December, I'd already be a multimillionaire, but I didn't. So how do I make this for people now? And so we spent about a month and a half talking with affiliate owners all over the world and determining, okay, that we're using Zoom for classes, and determined, okay, what do you like about Zoom? What do you not like about Zoom? What would you add to Zoom? What would you take away from Zoom? And some of the ideas were great. Some of them were bad. Some of them were very expensive, and some of them were easy. And so we took all those ideas and coalesced them together and combined them, and that's where Stream was really born and birthed. And so the idea is, yeah, I could create a version of Zoom and then profit off of it, which again, we're going to profit off of this, but profit off of it. But the goal wasn't just that Stream could profit. The goal isn't that the idea that only Zoom can only profit off Zoom, right? No one else, unless you have stock in them, which I'm kicking myself for not buying it earlier.
Yeah.
But the idea of Stream is not just providing a platform for video teleconferencing and coaching. It's the idea of providing a platform for other people to make money and have another source of revenue. And that's where the whole idea stemmed from. So this isn't a platform where I host a class and you can join. I mean, that is what it is at its basic nature. But the idea is, how do I pull in a coach that wants to coach, is passionate about it, and now can make money off it, charge people to join a class, and he can actually make a revenue source for himself. And that's where the idea kind of came from. I mean, the features in this thing is, the best way to define it is, if you've ever used Zoom as a CrossFit coach or a CrossFit athlete attending a CrossFit class on Zoom, anything you ever thought it would be cool to have this ... we have it. Ain't no doubt about it. You can't tell me one thing in this thing that you thought, oh, it'd be cool if we had this, within reason, okay? We don't deliver food to your doorstep. But we've got the whole thing. You know, we've got the workouts on the screen for the athletes to see because they came late. We've got a timer on the screen the coach can control. The coach can mute everybody. The coach can change the coach can turn your cameras off. The coach can coach you. The coach can talk via voice chat, not just typing chat, but voice chat to anyone in the class privately. And the same for any athlete in the class with any other person. The list of features go on and on, like Spotify premium plugin, you name it. And so we're going to launch it in February of 2021. So coming up in a couple months.
Yep.
And then we quickly realized that obviously this pandemic isn't going anywhere and it's coming back. And we determined that our web browser version works perfectly fine. We don't have an app for it on your phone. So to clarify for people that maybe aren't super tech savvy, what I mean by that is you can get on Stream via your Google Chrome browser on your phone. You just don't have an app on the phone that you click on, is the basic definition of it. And so we decided to launch early. So we launched it a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks to be exact, and it blew up. We've currently got, I don't even know, like 600, maybe 700 people. By the time this comes out, probably 1,000 people on this app already.
Wow.
That are either two different kind of avatars. Number one, they're coaches creating classes,
Yep.
or they're athletes joining classes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's basically it in a nutshell. You're probably gonna have 1,000 questions, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it open, I guess.
So it's not an app yet, but the app is going to come out at some point, correct? Awesome. The interface is obviously tailored to the CrossFit athlete. It has the timer on it. It has
it's tailored to a fitness genre.
Fitness genre.
Yep.
Okay.
So nothing on there screams CrossFit. Like, nothing on there says Fran. Because if I create a software or application that is pigeonholed into just CrossFit, I lose out on yoga instructors that we already have on there. I lose out on Pilates instructors. I lose out on, spin instructors that we have on there. I lose out on those people because I can't create something that encompasses everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one big thing that I'm wondering, so let's say someone missed their workout at their gym on Wednesday and they want to work out with Jacob Heppner on Thursday. If you were offering a class, could they find you through typing on the program itself?
Stream.
And Stream. Yep. And work out with you as you coach them?
Yeah, so let's break that question down into a couple different parts atomically, and let's answer each one. So number one, you searched first. The first thing you did. Yes, you can search by anything. You can search by the coach leading the class. You can search by, when you create a class as a coach, you put certain tags in it. Very similar to the metadata you use for Instagram, right? If I put #CrossFit, you can search anything #CrossFit. Same as YouTube. That's metadata. And so when I create a class, let's say I create a class and it's going to, go live tomorrow or tonight, and we're doing Fran. In my tags, I will probably put CrossFit, functional fitness, pull-ups, Fran, thrusters, and all those tags are searchable. So if I go in there, I can search by coaches, Heppner, Jacob. Here's the classes upcoming that Jacob Heppner has coached or has coached, because you can watch on demand also. Like after they're already live, you can also continue to watch them and do them. But I can also search by movements. If I'm like, man, today I'm feeling super spicy and I want to do some freaking burpees, I can search burpees and I'll get workouts that are live, workouts that are featured, and workouts that are on demand coming that were already passed. So yes, that's your search question.
And there are going to be ways for coaches to offer classes, right? So right now, everything is free in stream. Correct, right?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, that is, that you guys may... That alone could save the fitness just business in itself.
Yep.
I mean, just allowing people to. Some people didn't even hop on, even figure out Zoom 2 months into the pandemic. You know,
I still haven't. So
they were trying to figure that out and how to use it, and it just took them a while, right? And now we might be getting hit with this second wave, and it's just awesome that you guys have a solution for that, and that you and Scott are sort of like leading the way along with your tech folks there that I'm sure are inordinately helpful for creating everything on the back end for you guys. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so it's free till February, and then the cost is how we're really doing it. That's making it wonderful is how we're doing it is it's free till February, and once we start charging a coach who wants to create content or classes, right? They essentially, their cost to have a channel is on average the cost of one person's membership. So if they're an affiliate owner, it's whatever, that approximately comes out to be like 120, whatever that is,
Right.
We're letting them choose their own membership. So the person who makes a class has the options of choosing a different kind of membership tiers, because people need certain different things. So for instance, an affiliate owner who wants to offer to all their members in the gym probably wants a different package than someone who's like me, who just wants to offer an online class. You want to offer certain things. And then of course, from the athlete perspective, they pay to join a class depending upon what the class costs. So the beauty of that is the coach sets their own price. So for instance, how I'm going to personally use it is once I get the barn finished, I'll have good internet out there for the first time in my life because I'm from Kansas and internet sucks. And I will probably do one class a week. You'll join in a workout I do or I did. I'll coach it with you. We'll have a good time. I'm going to limit the amount of people that join the class, and I'll charge something for it. And every coach can do that. I know one athlete that's probably is talking about it and meeting with our team to kind of figure out how he can use it is Fikowski, because Fikowski creates a lot of content. Dude's a good coach. Dude's intelligent. I mean, the professor,
Right.
And so it just presents a lot of opportunities for the affiliate owners and the coaches and athletes too.
Yeah, it's definitely more widespread too.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some privacy issues with Zoom where people were hacking into each other's meetings and blah, blah, blah. Any issues on the privacy side that you guys are seeing now that you sort of launched it via desktop?
Yeah, so number one, you can do a couple different ways. It could be a private class where you get the link, very similar to a private Zoom meeting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the differences here is Zoom, you're not paying to join, but you're paying to join these classes. So if you join a class, even if you have the link for the class, it doesn't matter unless you pay for it.
Right.
So for instance, the example, I was actually the person that brought this up when we first started with Stream, and everyone laughed at me until they realized it was actually something to be concerned with.
Right.
Is my joke was, what about the naked man problem? And they were like, what do you mean? I said, okay, what if you run a class and a dude gets on there who's straight up naked? And they were like, that'll never happen. I was like, if you launch this and you have thousands of people on this, it will happen.
Yep.
And I'll make it happen. I'm just kidding. So, so the idea is that person's already paid you, but the coach obviously controls the class. We gave the coach in the class a lot of power, the ability to shut off people's cameras, shut off their audio. He can't turn their audio on or turn their camera on, but he can shut everything off. He can kick you out of class, and you can't ever join. Like, it's not like when he or she kicks you out, you can't click the link and rejoin the class. You're kicked out of that class,
right?
Specifically that class. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we've spent a lot of time thinking about. We've definitely spent some time looking at this. When we approach this problem, we approach it from a scalability concept. We didn't approach this Stream Fitness with the idea of, oh, let's make it for 50 coaches. No, we built the sucker and made this to be built for hundreds of thousands of people because we knew at some point it's going to be there. Because if I only built it for 50 people, I'm going to have issues later on down the road, like we're seeing a lot of companies having in the tech space. So
yeah, this is awesome. I mean, now that you've sort of figured out the privacy issues around it, people have to pay for different classes. You're able to work out with potentially games athletes. You're able to, if you have only a specific set of equipment at your home, like you only have a barbell or you only have a kettlebell, you can search that in the search engine. All of these different things that you obviously cannot do through Zoom. And then all of the benefits that coaches are really going to be able to receive through this. So yeah, I think that it's absolutely amazing. CBG will definitely be using it because we do once a week workouts, like kind of like TTT does a throwdown. We do a CBG cage match. Would love to just get people involved and for me to coach them through the workout once a week. I think that this is a perfect platform to do so.
Yeah, so we're actually using it for functional eating. I'm giving you some trade secrets. So we're actually going to be using it in functional eating in 2021 for nutrition seminars, for paid seminars. Because if you think about it, you can do a free seminar on Zoom, right, and hand the link out to everybody and thousands of people can join, whatever the case may be. But your goal at CBG is to close. You want to close on people and have them see the benefit of your platform and what you provide as a service. And you can really do that if you make them pay a little bit to join, because then you weed out the people that don't care.
Yep.
So if you have a nutrition seminar and you charge, heck, $3 freaking, the people who show up who pay $3 are more interested than people who show up who are free, even if it's $3. And then you have a seminar that only people who paid can join, right? They already, and you're not like having to deal with the billing in the back end. It's not like you're like, oh, they paid for it on my website. Cool, I'll send them a link. You don't have to worry about that. We already built the darn thing. You just run a seminar, they join, and then you pitch, you talk about carb cycling or talk about whatever, and then you close at the end, and then they sign up for CBG. And that's exactly how we're using it for functional eating in 2021.
I thought of that, especially because it's a health and wellness company. To bringing it back to the beginning here, where we talked about CBG and functional eating and all your companies being health and wellness companies. And I think that that's an excellent idea. I think there's even the potential to run nutrition challenges through there. Like, you and your team, like, hey, we're running a call to talk about how all you're doing and the nutrition challenge against functional eating, because we're trying to lose more weight.
See, now you're... Which you probably will. You probably have a larger group, so if everyone loses 1 pound, you already beat me. Screw you guys. No, see, now you're broaching into a separate app, because I think Stream is going to be a video teleconferencing, but let's rotate over to Ignite, because that's essentially where we are going to really just kick down the door and start impressing people's kind of our goals here.
Yes, tell us all about Ignite as well.
I was with a previous program delivery company for Midwest Made. And what I mean by program delivery company is an app or a software application that you as a company use to deliver programming to your constituents. So for instance, you mentioned CBG uses TrueCoach to deliver programming to people, which is a absolutely viable product to use.
Yep.
I was using a product that didn't have any billing in the back end, and it was causing me stress, obviously, because I'm having to check and see, make sure people pay, which is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And so I started doing some shopping around, and I called literally, you ever seen Parks and Rec? Literally.
Yeah.
I've called literally everyone in the CrossFit space. You think of that name, fitness space. You think of the name that is a program delivery service in the fitness industry, I called them. I talked to them. I got a demo from them. I didn't like any of them. There were certain things I liked about them, certain things I didn't, and they just didn't fit what I needed. And so I stumbled upon a smaller company. The gentleman who owns it was just a down-to-earth, solid guy. The guy who owned it was the developer. Like, he was a one-man army, okay? Probably what you did in the beginning of CBG.
Yep.
And he just had passion oozing out of his body. He just loved what he did. It was his part-time gig. He was a developer full-time, but he loved it. And I thought to myself, man, this guy's awesome. Like, I would love at some point, if I could find out someone to work with this guy, I want to work with him.
Yeah.
So I took Grit Performance at the time and put it on his platform. The platform was actually called Box Score Fitness. And after using it for a couple months, I decided to just pull the trigger. And I pulled him in a meeting and I said, look, his name is Mike. I said, look, Mike, I said, I think if we teamed up, I've got some good ideas. I've got a platform you can use. You've already got the darn thing created. I said, but his app what he had, it's a joke we have now, is it functioned like a Ferrari. It had everything I ever needed, and then some, more than I needed. But it looked like a freaking Civic. It was
Yeah.
like, we laugh about it now, but she ugly. She's ugly, but she did a
Yeah.
great job.
Yeah.
And so we partnered up and we started the concept of Ignite. Since then, a month later, we pulled in another guy in the team. So there's three of us in this team. We've got myself, who I'm probably the most non-essential, essential personnel on our team. I'm the guy who's got a lot of passion, talks loud.
Yep.
And then you've got Mike, who's the brains on the operation. He's a developer. And then the third person we pulled in is Jim Crowell, who, if you've known some previous, we talked about OPT and OPEX. He was the owner of OPEX, who sold it. And so he is our third party in the company. He's our business guru.
That's cool.
He's my genie in a bottle who I don't rub. Anyways, so he is a genius. So anyways, we kind of banded together, this motley crew, and we created the concept of Ignite. And so our mission goals are, our mission statement, our core goals, and it's the issue that I dealt with talking to all these other companies, was every company I went to, I felt like they cared about me as a coach, as an owner of Grit, but they didn't care about the people below me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is they cared about their retention of coaches, meaning me, because I'm paying them. They take a percent of my money, which they wholeheartedly deserve because they have great platforms.
Yep.
They cared about me staying on their platform, but they didn't care about the athletes that stayed on my programming.
Right.
They didn't care about my retention. They cared about their retention.
Yep.
And that's the rub I got every single time. And so I took that concept to Mike and I said, this is what I'm passionate about. I said, I run an online programming company. I know what it's like. It's difficult. I said, and it's even more difficult when the company you work with, you're just another name in the hat. They don't care about you. They don't care if you retain people. They just want you to stay. They want to make their platform as sticky as possible so you never leave. Not because you want to leave, because you just don't know how you would, because it's too difficult. I said, we need to make a company. We need to make an app out there that we essentially are helping light the coach's way and make them successful. And that was the idea behind Ignite, was I'm igniting the coach's business and helping them become better. And the focus isn't about me. It's not about the company. It's not about True Coach, SugarWOD, Wodify, Tribe, Trainerize, Beyond the Whiteboard, you name it. It's not about me. It's about the coach. And that's what's missing in society right now. And that's the mentality shift we're going for. And to do that, I can sit here all day and act super passionate and talk about it and, really impress you with my vocabulary. But what it comes down to is, how do you do that? And how do we do that?
Yeah.
And how we do that is we bring people on an app that functions wonderfully, same as everybody else and better. But then also, how do we make it less about Ignite and more about CBG? That's going to be your overarching question. You can talk a big game, Heppner, but how do you prove it? So how do we make it less about Ignite and more about CBG? To do that is we take Ignite off everything and make it only about you. And how we make it only about you is, instead of you saying, hey, sign up for CBG and then go on the App Store and download the, Trainerize app, and then sign up for programming on there. Instead, what if you told your clients and constituents, go on the App Store and download the CBG app? And it's our logo, our branding, our colors, everything we want. And our name's not on the darn thing. I don't care about my name. I care about your name. And that's the idea behind it, is I'm empowering coaches to become more successful. And so in the tech space, what that's called is we're white labeling. So the concept is I'm white labeling apps for coaches. And what that means is every coach has their own app. It's not about Ignite. It's about the actual coach.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. I think me personally, like, I can have my own app. Like, wow, I don't have like the resources that it takes now. I mean, for people that don't know, it's like a 12 to 18 month process and hundreds of thousands of dollars to make apps now. And with the online fitness space, or just online space in general, in terms of apps becoming more and more competitive in 2021, you don't want to get diluted right?
Hmm.
And everybody can't make their own app, man. It's just not possible. It's not even possible
No.
for CBG to do so. I just can't do that. I don't have the time, the resources, and the money at this current time to do that. So for you to offer an outlet that allows people to have a more customized experience. And like I said, we're trying to get people on the CBG tribe, right? And they feel more like a tribe member when they're not logging in True Coach and looking at their programming, but they're logging into the CBG app that Ignite is going to help us deliver, right? So
Hmm.
I think that it's amazing. I can't wait to see all the interface and software behind everything, how user friendly it is. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing app for a lot of coaches to get on board. I know I need the link right after this. You said you were going to send me a link. Don't,
Yep.
you didn't lie to me. You're
Nope.
sending me a link. All right.
I'm sending you a link. You can go download the darn thing. I mean, look, here's the deal: is one things and this is I say this in the most non-prideful way possible because it's not going to sound prideful when I finish it. Is one of the one things I do well in life is I take criticism very well, and I've learned that in my life. And so I ask for as many people as possible to critique something I'm doing, whether that is how I lift, how I run, the app I make, the English paper I wrote, the post on social media. I want people to look at it and say, "Hey, I hate this because," or "I like this because." So yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, I've sent it to probably quite a few people are ready to look at it and say, "Hey, let me know what you think." Some of them are good ideas. Some of their ideas is like, "Hey, I can't do that just yet. That's in the next release." Or, you know, some people's ideas are too CrossFit specific. They're like, "Oh, I want to see this and this." It's like, okay, I get that, but like, this isn't just a CrossFit app. Like, you can't make something like we talked about for stream. Is I can't just make it CrossFit specific because then I lose out on the fitness space.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I want to take a look at it. We've been using True Coach for years now, and definitely would love to make the comparison between and give you some feedback on everything.
Yeah, and I think what people need to realize is like the apps in our space. I'm not trying to dog on anybody, but the apps in our space are great. The program delivery services that are out there are awesome. True Coach is amazing. SugarWOD is awesome. We're just there's a niche, there's a spot, there is a missing space in our sport in the fitness industry that needs to be filled, and that's what we're here to do.
That's what Ignite's going to do. Yep, absolutely. Awesome, man. I love to hear about all the companies. I want to talk about one last thing. It shouldn't take long.
Yep.
About, and this is something that I'm extremely passionate about because I work with some pretty high level athletes, both that are still trying to make it and then have made it, right? And it's sort of like a joke, but it's not really a joke because over the past couple of years, I'm starting to figure out what it means to build wealth for yourself and being able to start a family, being able to feed your family and have that security. And I think that a lot of athletes out there that are trying to make it in the CrossFit world competitively are sort of putting their careers and life choices on hold. They live in their
Mm-hmm.
mom's basement. They still live with their parents, which is fine if you're still trying to get on your feet and do different things. And I think that you're paving the way for once you do make it, right? Because what if the sponsorship goes away tomorrow? Or
Mm-hmm.
what if you get injured, right? What do you do then? You've really paved the way for CrossFit athletes and people that have a platform to make money outside of the sport. So I want to first commend you for that and then give your advice to some of these athletes that are sort of up and coming and giving them an understanding about, how to mold your professional life with your CrossFit life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what it comes down to is before you enter anything, you should know where your exit's at. Before I enter into a sport, before I enter into a company, I want to know number one, what are my goals and what is my exit strategy for this? Because time is finite. I'm not going to live forever. I have not found the fountain of youth just yet. I've been looking hard though. I'm not going to live forever. And I need to know what my goals and exit strategies are for everything I do. And so, and I want to clarify, people are like, oh my gosh, it's so intelligent. Like, did I think that when I started CrossFit? Heck no. Did I learn that over time? Yes. Like, that's not something that I was just born with, or else I'd be born a wise baby, I guess, like Benjamin Button. But it's something that I garnered over time. And I thought to myself more and more is I need to be prepared for the opportunity and the problem that may arise that I am done competing. And I think that's what every athlete has to plan. Now, some athletes, that doesn't matter as much. Froning, Frazier, those guys, Tia, a lot of guys who have made their name in the sport are fine. They don't need to worry about an extra strategy too much. Like they're set, right? I actually am curious to see what Frazier does after this, but I actually just want to hang out with him and shoot a bunch of guns. That's all I want to do when I retire. But you think about exit strategies, and that's something that occurred more and more in the past couple years. And so I quickly realized that I have a lot of good companies that are behind me and backing me. And I realized that over the course of a couple years where I did not go to the games for random reasons. And because the companies that I have backing me aren't companies that, require that I am on the podium or require that I am competing. All they want is they sponsor me because of the brand and what I represent. Now, again, that's awesome, but they're not going to be with me as a 60-year-old man, okay? So, like, GoWad don't want to sponsor no 60-year-old man who can't even move, right? That's not something that's cool. So, in the interim, you have to think about the idea of, well, how do I continue to function as an athlete? Because you're right, like, there's nothing wrong with an athlete living in your parents' basement, barely making it by because they have a dream.
Yeah.
I've been there, okay? The difference that how I approached it as other athletes is I had a full-time job up until June of 2019, okay? And I was working full-time. I recently quit like a year and a half ago, but I immediately rolled into 5 different companies. So it wasn't like I had like free time galore. But I quickly realized that if you want to continue to stay in the sport and be successful, it's not sponsorships, although sponsorships are awesome. It is the legacy you create. And for me, the legacy I'm going to create is I'm going to create companies and businesses in this space that give people opportunity, change people's lives, and give people financial freedom. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's not the same for everybody. Some people may not want to own a company and may not have the skills or the leadership capability or the wherewithal, and that's fine. But everyone has some kind of passion. You have something that keeps you up at night you think about. And right now, it might be podium at the CrossFit Games, and that's fine. But at some point, you have to think about your exit strategy, and then you have to sit down with someone who's preferably smarter than you, a mentor of some kind, and say, hey, I might not compete forever. What does this look like? And then walk that out and say, okay, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to determine what you're passionate about and what your exit strategy is after you're already done. Yeah. If you're trying to look for your exit when you're already being forced out, it's too late. You need to be looking for your exit strategy early on so you know, okay, once I'm done, here are the goals I'm going to do and here's what I'm going to accomplish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And just with the volatility of the sport, and there's no medical insurance that CrossFit offers to athletes, right? They're just not in a position to do so yet. They're not paying athletes unless they're extremely high level and winning either events or being on a podium, right? So it begs the question, where is your income and what are things going to look like for you? And I think it's extremely important for people to also make sure that you're not 35 years old and have no skills, haven't held a job for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, because then no one wants to hire you, and you don't want to be in that position. And I don't want to see any CrossFit athlete that is training like a professional athlete. Like, you guys are training like a MLB player or a football player, or maybe even harder. I mean, it's an all year round thing, right? So like to do that much work and, not have some other things in place to set yourself up to be successful is extremely disheartening, and I don't want to see it happen. So I appreciate your insight on that. I think a lot of our listeners will as well, man.
I mean, that's something I've talked about with quite a few younger athletes and, middle of the road athletes, because I think not many people are talking about that. Not many people, not many OGs, I would call them, that came through the sport and have exited, have talked to the younger generation about that. And it's saddening to me. People who have left the sport or are still involved in the sport but are not competing need to mentor those that are still in the sport. And so luckily I've been granted the ability to be able to do that to athletes of both genders that are still involved in the sport, because I still am too. But I think more people need to take that mantle upon themselves because, you're right. Like, young kids, think they're invincible. They're invincible till the leg gets broken, and then who sponsors you?
Right.
What's your exit strategies? It's just the whole question.
I agree with you, man. I love the insight. I definitely look forward to connecting with you more in the future in a multitude of different ways with all the things that you're offering for both athletes and coaches. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Jacob. Tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram and connect to all the different webs that you have out there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I can send links to you for URLs. You can just search my name and find me pretty much anywhere. And we are going to be putting up a large, humongous gate with my last name on it on the road I live on. It's a main thoroughfare, so you won't even miss my house anymore.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to seeing it when it's all done, too. It's going to be real exciting. And look, enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for coming on, and we will chat soon.